This is the Gridiron Guys podcast with Anthony Stalter and Super Bowl champion Carey Davis.
Driven by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
And welcome into the Gridiron Guys with Super Bowl champion Carey Davis. I'm Anthony Stalter. Appreciate everybody listening to this week's podcast. It's our instant reaction for Week 4. The Week 4 games are in the books. A lot of surprises in this one. Let's jump right into it, and let's actually talk about the Thursday night game first, Carey. Lions 34, Packers 20. I thought this was a monumental win for Detroit. I know a lot of people like Detroit. A lot of people liked the Lions in this game. A lot of people liked the Lions coming in. I kept holding off on my I'll jump on the bandwagon when Aaron Glenn and that defense comes together. That defense has come together. That defensive front the last 2 weeks has been outstanding. They're dealing with injuries, yet they're still winning. They to me, going into Green Bay last year and winning like they did, okay, great. But nothing was on the line. And that was impressive.
Right.
But everything is on the line now. The Lions are expected to win this division. So go out there and win this game. And that's exactly what they did. And they did it in a variety of ways. I was really impressed with the Lions. I'm on their bandwagon now.
And did it in Lambeau. I mean, I know we're not talking about Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, but they went into Lambeau, got a victory, ran the ball very, very well. David Montgomery, I mean, you go and draft Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. You're assuming, well, why did they sign David Montgomery if they're going to draft the first round running back?
You and I literally assumed that. We're like, what are we doing here?
And they gave David Montgomery the ball 32 times. Yeah. And he scored 3 touchdowns. So for me, that feels like a good recipe for this team. Don't put it all on Jared Goff's shoulder. He's a good quarterback. He's taking the team to the Super Bowl. He's not a slouch, as I think a lot of people think about him. But you hit the nail on the head. Defense, run the ball, allow Jared Goff to find his receivers when he can, and that seems to be the recipe for them to win games. On the flip side, the Green Bay Packers just – it doesn't give me that feel. Like when I watch offense, Stalter, I like to feel good watching offense, which means explosive plays, crucial third down pickups, things that make sense. Not turning the ball over. When I watch offensive football, that's what gets me fuzzy on the inside when I see those things. When I don't see you run the ball well, when I don't see the big explosive plays, I'm just like,
it doesn't look right.
It doesn't feel well. So it doesn't feel real good for me. So I think that's what the Green Bay Packers have to work on. They have to get that fixed. Matt LaFleur is a great offensive mind, so I know he will get it together. But hats off to the Detroit Lions because seems to be the team in the NFC North that's at the lead and will continue to be that way.
I chose Green Bay to win that division. The Lions are going to win this division if they stay healthy on offense. They've already been banged up defensively, and they've overcome it.
Right.
But if they stay healthy on offense, they're going to win that division. They are. All right, moving on to the London game. Jaguars 23-7. Look, this game was this. Here's what this game boiled down to, Carey. If you watched it, one team had a quarterback and one didn't.
Okay.
That's it.
That's pretty.
Both defenses played well.
Yeah.
Jacksonville scored 23 points, 7 of which came on a pick six. Because of Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ritter's been terrible the last 2 weeks, and he should be benched, but he won't because Arthur Smith is going to stick with him. You're going to go to Taylor Heineke, knowing that Desmond Ritter's not the answer, and you're going to manage. All Atlanta's been trying to do is manage games at quarterback. Yeah. And the last 2 weeks, they've fallen behind by double digits, and when that happens, they can't run the ball. And Foye Oluokun, who the local product here in St. Louis, the linebacker for Jacksonville, wrecked the running game all day, and Desmond Ridder was forced to pass. And we saw the results. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence was making plays with his legs and his arm. The touchdown on Calvin Ridley was on a busted coverage in which the safety Richie Grant missed the sack. Trevor Lawrence gets out of it and throws to a wide open Calvin Ridley because A.J. Terrell got mixed up in coverage. But that's the plays that Trevor Lawrence is making, and the plays that Desmond Ridder is not.
I think the thing that frustrates me most, and you're a Falcons fan, so I know this hits home for you. You can't do anything offensively. You're going to get Bijan Robinson the ball, which I know you can't go back in time and change things, but I'm still baffled with all of the offensive picks that they have made, and this offense moves in the manner in which it does. You got Drake London and Kyle Pitts. They got 9 targets between the two of them.
Everything's
11
contested.
Targets. It's not. It just doesn't flow very well. 11 targets between the two of them. How many Christian Kirk have? on the opposing side. He had 12 by himself.
Yeah, sure.
So you got two guys, 2 first-round picks that you're not even targeting enough to be explosive. I just told you, offensive football for me is about explosive plays, making big plays, timely catches, third down conversions. This team isn't really good.
No.
It's just not, and they're not fun to watch offensively.
No.
And it starts at the quarterback position. They have to get better at that position. Desmond Ridder has to be better. I thought maybe that, Marcus Mariota, I didn't think he was the answer last year. And I thought maybe Desmond Ridder had a little bit more to him, but right now he's still got some room to grow.
Carey, they ran the ball the first 2 weeks. They were 2-0.
Yep.
They couldn't run the ball the last 2 weeks. And they didn't even score double digits. That is the recipe is out. And Arthur Smith can design a good running game. He cannot design a good passing attack from what we can see.
Right.
So they'll draft another wide receiver, I'm sure, in the first round. We'll be back here next year.
No.
Colts nearly came back against the Rams, but the Rams win it in OT 29-3. This was an entertaining game. I love watching Anthony Richardson play.
I do too.
He outside of Michael Pittman, he's got nothing around him, and he's making plays. As soon as they lost the coin toss in overtime, though, I knew they were cooked,
right? Because
Indy's defense had been on the field too long in that last 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You knew they were gassed, and as soon as the Rams got that coin flip, they won it. But again, credit the Colts for coming back. And the Rams are a lot better than I thought. And Matthew Stafford's playing great.
I think you and I looked at the Rams defense and were like, who the hell are these guys? Other than Aaron Donald, I think we looked at the defensive names and were like, I don't think any of these guys. I don't know who these guys are.
Who the hell is this guy?
Who are these guys? They're playing well. I do have to give credit to the Indianapolis Colts, though, because I definitely thought that this team would be terrible and they wouldn't have anything. They're going to get Jonathan Taylor. He's supposed to be practicing this week, and maybe he plays on Sunday for them. That does nothing but bolster that offense, give you another weapon out of the backfield, a guy that can make some big plays, big impact plays. Michael Pittman Jr. is doing a fantastic job. But Anthony Richardson is doing a really good job as a rookie quarterback. Surprising. But again, as you said, Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Who? Tutu Atwell. Where's Cooper Kupp? He ain't even played yet.
Right.
He's coming back here shortly as well. He's coming off of IR, so he should be healthy, potentially starting practice this week. So this Rams team is much better than I thought they would be, and it's surprising because we don't know the defense. We really don't know the receivers, and you get rid of Cam Akers, and you got Kyron Williams, who is performing well as well.
Those St. Louis kid.
St. Louis guy. So we have to give credit to what Matthew Stafford and those LA Rams are doing as well.
And credit Sean McVay too.
Yeah.
They didn't even dress the kid that got his rear end kicked by Trey Hendrickson the week prior.
Yeah.
They made some switches. They moved their right tackle over to left tackle, and or maybe it was one of the guards that kicked out to left tackle. But what does it say about? And Cooper Kupp's a great player. Don't get me wrong. But what does it say about this system that Nacua is having the season he's having? Playing the Cooper Kupp role.
You're going to whoever plays that position is going to get paid. Whoever gets the ball thrown to them, and Matthew Stafford does a good job. He finds his guys, he targets his guys. He's gonna make sure that those guys are getting fed and getting thrown too often. So you do have to give your give a head off to Sean McVay because he does a fantastic. When I talk again, offensive football, give me more.
Yeah,
give me more of what the Rams, because they're going to have explosive plays. They're going to find ways to get guys open, run the ball when they need to, and win games in a manner in which it's fun to watch.
Eagles come from behind to beat the Commanders 34-31 in overtime. It's a closer game than people think. First the criticism. Hey, Riverboat Ron. Go for it. Go for 2. End the game. You've got. I get it. He said, well, the offense was tired. Sure, it looked tired in overtime when you went 3 and out after you had won the coin toss.
Yeah.
Which is why you just go for 2. You've got the Eagles where you want them. Go for 2. Go for the win. Win it right there. But instead, he kicks the extra point. Overtime occurs. And the rest of the results were predictable. But whatever Washington has done over the last 2 years now, because they beat them last year, teams got to look at to copy. Because Washington kind of has the blueprint, at least, to move the ball against Philly. They've done it now 2 straight years.
Well, I think, one, it's a division rival. So those games, you play those teams 2 times a year. you pretty much know who you're going against, what you're facing, every time you go against them. It makes life a little bit harder when it's a division rival as opposed to a team you may not see but every 2 or 3 years. That's number one. But I think the thing that makes Washington, who they are, they got a pretty good defensive line as well. They got guys that can get after the quarterback as well. And the addition of Eric Bieniemy on the offensive side, it didn't look great last week. They stunk versus the Buffalo Bills. But this week, they put up points, and they were able to move the ball and get some things to happen. So they have a recipe there. I just don't know if they have – I don't know what they're missing. It's incomplete. They're missing something. I don't know if it's the quarterback. I don't know if it's, the head coach. I don't know what that thing is that this Washington team is missing. But they have a lot of talent there that gives you hope for the future. But the Eagles, on the road, division rival – were they on? They was at home. No, it was on the road.
Philly was at home.
Philly was at home. So you're at home, division rival, and you find a way to win. It's not pretty. Nick Sirianni said it a couple of weeks ago. We're not a finished product just yet. We still got a lot of room to grow in. This is a team that played in the Super Bowl last year. They're still figuring things out of who they are offensively and defensively. So, you take your hat off to them because they find a way to win the game. And at the end of the day, it's much easier to correct things when you win than when you lose. And they won, and so they get to have that celebration because of that.
Well, a team that always finds ways to win to a team that always finds ways to lose. The Chicago Bears were up 21-7 with 3 or 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter and find a way to lose 31-28. They get a clean house. They got a clean house again.
From top
to bottom.
Okay.
They have got to clean. They have to clean house. You cannot allow this current front office to take what is likely to be a top 5 pick again next year, as well as Carolina's pick, which also might be a top 5 pick, and give that to the current front office, and then give those players to the current coaching staff. The Bears are a mess. I realize they start over every 3 or 4 years now. Fine. Do it again because you have got to start over.
I think
that's a disaster.
It is a disaster. I think Ryan Poles, he is his second year there now, so I think he's okay. But Eberflus is probably going. You're going to have to, from the head coach on down, you're going to have to reevaluate everything. They signed – and maybe Ryan Poles needs to be questioned because they did sign Chase Claypool. And Chase Claypool, they told him don't even show up to the game.
You traded a
second-round pick.
A second-round pick for Claypool and then told him, stay home.
Stay home. Don't even show up.
You passed on Jalen Carter after you made the trade, excuse me. Poles has got to go too.
I don't know that he goes though, just because it's only his second year in the position. I think he's safe for now. But Eberflus, I mean, it's part of life, man. We understand that in professional sports, if you don't take care of your business, we're in a results-driven business. If you're not getting the results that you need, whether it's, you taking care of it, your quarterback, your position guys not getting it done, you got to figure it out. And so they're going to probably go in a different direction. My question is, what do they do about Justin Fields? Is he part of that transition as well? Because he didn't perform poorly. And so what do you do with a young quarterback that has the amount of ability that he has? Do you wait to see, hey, maybe a new coaching staff can get him together? Or do you go in the draft, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, but Caleb Williams put a list out of what teams he would play for, and the Chicago Bears were not on it.
Sure.
So the number 1 overall pick is probably not going to come to you.
Yeah.
What do you do at this point?
Carey, I find some – I hope that Fields stays healthy and he runs around and he puts up fantasy football numbers again like he did a year ago, and then I find some sucker to take him.
Ooh, what sucker?
There's plenty of quarterback needy teams in the NFL that are stupid. It happens every year. So find some dope. Trade him to that dope, and then take your quarterback. If Caleb Williams doesn't want to come to me, fine.
That's who you want, though.
Michael Penix Jr. is going to be in the draft. You've got the kid from Duke, Riley Leonard, who is to me an NFL prospect. I'm not saying these guys are number 1 overall worthy, but they might be by the end of the year. Who did you mention?
May,
Drake May from North Carolina. Yep. Carey, this year is going to be rich in quarterbacks at the top of the draft. I'm not saying they're franchise guys, but what I am saying is you get the right OC or the right head coach in place, and you move on. And you find some dope to take Justin Fields, and maybe you can recoup that second-round pick that you foolishly gave away for Claypool.
What do we think? We're talking about the Bears, and they lost the game. What do we think about the Broncos, who were down 28-7?
The Broncos stink, too.
At one point.
Denver's defense,
I don't know how that happened.
They got the pass last year because they played well, and everybody blamed Russ.
Yeah.
Dude, you're part of the problem now, too.
They are. The entire team.
You won a game, but Carey, my comments about Denver from last week still stand.
Yeah.
You walk into the house, and you know how this goes. You're a homeowner. You walk into the house, and there's something stinks.
Yeah.
You go to the trash can. If it's not the trash can, you go to the sink. If it's not the sink, at some point you say, I don't know where this is coming from, but I know it stinks. I gotta fumigate.
You gotta figure it out.
I gotta tear it down to the studs. That's Denver.
They are pretty bad, and they won. So
and they won.
Tell you?
Yeah. The Buccaneers. So this is my the Lions were the first team I had to admit were better than I gave them credit for.
Yeah.
The Bucs. I thought they were going to be a disaster.
What's his nickname? What's the quarterback's
Shaky
name?
Bakey.
There you go. How's Shaky Bakey playing?
He performed incredibly well without Mike Evans. So Shaky Bakey will get worse as the season wears on because the expectations will grow.
Okay.
I've seen this. I saw this at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I saw this at Cleveland. When nobody's looking, Shaky Bakey's a superstar.
Right. When people start paying attention.
And he's planting the flag at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then the playoffs come and gets his ass kicked. And then Cleveland happens, and nobody's looking, and the Browns, he's a savior.
Yeah.
Then the expectations rise, and Shaky Bakey doesn't have it. Right now, nobody's watching. He's playing well.
I will give Baker Mayfield some credit because I think he has matured in his time. You go from being the first overall pick, you think you're going to have a career in Cleveland, and it doesn't go well. You get Odell Beckham Jr., he's no longer there. You all have a falling out, and you're no longer on the team. And he went to a couple of places, and now he's settled in Tampa. I think you're getting a more mature version. I think one of the worst things that happened to Baker Mayfield is he got drafted by the Browns, number one. Number two, he got drafted by the same Browns team that drafted Johnny Manziel, and you assume that they are the same person. Yep. Because maybe their personalities were similar at that time. Baker Mayfield, to me, has matured and grown up and is in a place. Listen, somebody's got to win the NFC South. It's going to be Tampa.
Yeah,
New
Orleans
got the best
stinks.
Defense.
New Orleans does stink.
It's bothering me because they have too much talent on the offensive side and too much talent on the defensive side to stink in the manner in which they do. This 9 points. They are a very bad football team right now. The New Orleans Saints are. They've scored 16, 20, 17, 9 this season. That is not you're not going to win many football games. And the defense has played again pretty well in all of those games. So
the Saints
you're not averaging 3 touchdowns a game.
The Saints have been terrible. Offensively they've been absolutely terrible.
Yes.
And I overrated them. I underrated Tampa. I'll give Baker his due right now. I still believe that Baker is the same guy that wound up getting tossed out of Cleveland. And Carolina got better a year ago when they nixed him. Yeah. When PJ Walker came in, they got better.
Again,
it's the same guy.
I see. That's where we disagree because when you go from Cleveland to Carolina to LA on a short week and played really well.
He did. He had
and now
one,
you're on.
He had
this
one
is
good
his
throw.
Fourth stop in how many years? 4, 5?
Yeah.
You mature. You have to. You have to realize, man, that old guy, the guy that was, as you said, planting flags in opposing team stadiums. That guy kind of played out. Mm-hmm. I gotta be better. I gotta dial in, and so he's in a system now. Again, you got some really good talent around you on the offensive side in Tampa. I think he has matured. Now, I say that.
We'll see.
And then he goes and loses his damn mind, and then I'm like, oh, Shaky Bakey again. But on the football side of things, I think he has matured enough to be a very good quarterback and help their team win the division.
I think both are true. I think we'll see the real Baker, and I do think Tampa is the best team in an absolute crap division.
That's tough to watch.
That's the worst division in football.
It is.
Top to bottom.
It is. It's nothing exciting about it.
No.
Carolina isn't exciting. The Falcons.
The Falcons are.
You can go to sleep during the game.
The Falcons are. Yeah, the Falcons are. They used to be Texas Tech.
Okay.
They put a bunch of points on the board, but they're going to lose 34 to 31
calories.
every time. Now they're like. Now they're Wisconsin without the success. They're a run the ball.
Run
the ball.
Run right, run
and
left.
The defense is actually pretty good. But the Saints, and I know he got hurt, but Derek Carr has not played well either.
And that's disappointing
And
to
let's
me.
stop making excuses for Derek Carr.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
I'll get ripped. He was hurt.
Yeah.
What about the previous 3 weeks when he wasn't hurt? This is Derek Carr, too. At some point, we have to believe Derek Carr is
What about the previous
meh.
years in Vegas or with the Raiders? That you're learning who he is. I thought he would be much better with this New Orleans team, have more weapons, have more opportunities. It's just it hasn't been great.
We should be defending Kirk Cousins the way that we defend Derek Carr.
Because Kirk Cousins
it should be flipped.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll get to why don't we? Vikings 21-13. Not a great performance by Cousins. Not a great performance by the Vikings offense, but they made the plays. And Bryce Young, unfortunately, to this point, a guy that you and I both liked, he has not shown anything.
No,
he really hasn't. And that play where the defensive fumble, I mean. You're driving, you got a lead, and then in a blink of an eye, you're losing.
Carolina
because you're not taking care of the ball.
This is bad, but they looked better with Andy Dalton last week than they do.
They did, yeah.
And
but he put
Andy Dalton
in there 58 times.
Yeah.
What are you doing if you're Frank Reich?
He threw it 50-plus times. I don't know. But the Carolina team is a surprising team because we looked at what they did last year and how they had an opportunity to win the division. They ran the ball really well last year. And it hasn't clicked yet for them. And they're a tough team to watch. The Minnesota Vikings getting their first win of the season, good for them, much needed because they were stinking. And I think that defense still has some room to grow for the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, as you said, didn't play his best game, but got the job done. He's turned the ball over more than I like to see as well. He's turning it over a little bit too much for this team to be successful. That was a one-possession game that they did win. They were 0-3 up until that point. So maybe they figured some things out. They had good magic last year when going 11-0 in one-possession games. Maybe they figured something out, but I'm looking to see what this Minnesota Vikings team does because there have been talks about Kirk Cousins being traded because his contract is expiring after this year. What do the Minnesota Vikings do going forward? It's going to be intriguing to watch how this plays out for them.
Yeah, if they merely cut down on the red zone turnovers, and they had the pick six. I mean, he threw a pick six right in the first quarter of that on Sunday. They're at the goal line. I mean, they have turned the ball over consistently in the red zone. The Ravens beat the Browns 28-3, a wounded Browns team. But I kept saying, Lamar looks good, Lamar looks good, Lamar looks good. And I know you have not been impressed by the offense. And if you go back a week ago, I had to admit to you, this offense is, it hasn't looked that great. It's pedestrian. But to me, Lamar Jackson is playing very well. He is. Nobody's talking about him because he's not putting up the eye-popping numbers.
And maybe that's what it is for me.
But, Carey, when you watch these games, and I know you do, you're seeing a quarterback. You talk about maturity. Yeah. He has matured in this new-look offense. I think this Ravens offense is going to get better each and every week. And he's throwing to, right now, Mark Andrews, who had a great game, and rookie Zay Flowers, who we both like. But Odell's banged up again.
Bateman
what else is new?
Is hurt.
Yeah, you got Bateman hurt again. What else is new? He doesn't have a loaded skill position players around him. I actually think they should go double tight ends with Andrews and Isaiah Likely.
I Likely dropped a pass that hit him in the chest. I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God! To get a first down. Was it overtime? Fourth quarter?
It was.
I think it was overtime.
It was either last week against Colts or 2 weeks ago when Andrews was banged
when
up.
When they were playing, when they were going into overtime.
I saw it. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was
he had some plays last year, though, that he made.
Yeah, he did. I agree with you. I think the skill position, we were excited about what they had, Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers getting drafted, Rashad Bateman staying healthy. You thought J.K. Dobbins was going to be healthy, and he's torn his Achilles early in the season. They're trying to figure out who they are on offense, their identity. But 15 for 19, he didn't throw a lot, but 15 for 19 with 2 touchdowns, 186 yards. That touchdown that he threw, that Lamar Jackson threw in the corner of the end zone to Mark Andrews was a beautiful pass. Beautiful location. Looked like a smash concept. The corner sat down on the hitch route, and he threw it on the corner, and it was a beautiful pass. It just looked like it was right where it needed to be. Looked like a comfortable pass, a guy knowing and understanding what he's seeing defensively and making the right throw. But I'm still waiting. Like I still want to and maybe I'm maybe I'm jaded because of what I saw in this MVP year.
Yeah.
The explosive plays that he was making, both with his legs and his arm. Those are the things that I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on Zay Flowers to have one of those Hollywood Brown type of take the top off the coverage plays where he's running past people and scoring a 60, 70-yard touchdown. Those are the things. But in order to do that, you got to have some intermediate routes from some receivers and not just your tight end. So
right.
You having those guys not being healthy is probably slowing this offense down a little bit. Hopefully, they get healthy and can help him out. The Cleveland Browns, I mean, you don't have your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. The defense was on the field the entire game. There's nothing
you can do about that.
No, that to me is like a throw the film game away. I mean, there's nothing you can kind of take out of that. Moving forward here, the Houston Texans 30, the Pittsburgh Steelers 6. You know whose fault this is?
Who?
And I will give credit.
Mike Tomlin?
You and I talked about Houston, and I said this team is. They're not going to win. They're not going to win much, but this team is better than people expect. And C.J. Stroud is way better than I gave him credit for.
I love it.
I guess we'll just stick with. I was like, we'll give Houston some credit in a second. Then I just gave Houston credit. They look great.
They look, man.
All things considered.
They look great despite everything. Like you go up, you draft C.J. Stroud, you make a decision to get back into the draft and go get Will Anderson, and DeMeco Ryans being a rookie head coach. C.J. Stroud doesn't look like a rookie to me.
No,
he doesn't look like a guy that is in a position that's uncomfortable or unfamiliar to him. He's got guys catching passes, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. They are making plays, and it's fun to watch. And you and I both. Here, let's be honest. The Houston Texans, and maybe you stop me if I'm going too far. The Houston Texans can win the AFC South.
I'm not gonna refute that. No,
from
what we've seen, I'm not gonna refute that.
It's, and I would not have said that at any point prior to the start of the season. I probably wouldn't have said it 2 weeks ago. But after 4 weeks in, watching C.J. Stroud, who I think is still fourth in the league in passing yards, still has not turned the ball over in terms of throwing an interception, he is fun to watch. And he is dynamic, and doesn't look like a rookie quarterback. Looks like one of the better quarterbacks in the league right now, and it's fun to see him have this success. On the flip side, because you know where my heart lies, Anthony Stalter, I love the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do not love what the hell I have to watch on offense on Sundays. It makes my stomach turn. It is not a sight. It is not something you want to see. Mike Tomlin said after the game that they will fix some things, some changes will be made. Where? Who? When? Why? How? What?
Yeah.
What are those changes? Because offensively, I looked at some numbers. The offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers is one of the most terrible offenses in the NFL right now. First down conversion, third down conversions. Getting yards. They're predictable. They're not blocking well enough up front. They aren't getting the ball downfield to anybody. It's tough to watch.
Carey, I'd start off this part of it by saying
one last thing.
Go ahead.
The longest play of the day was a 32-yard check down to the running back where he made 4 or 5 people miss.
Right.
That's your longest play of the day.
Yep.
And it's not even close. That's your explosive play on offense. That's all you got. Your quarterback getting flushed out of the pocket. Your running back checking down, scrambling with him, and he dumps it to him, and he gets a 32-yard gain. I'm about to lose it. I'm about to lose it.
It's terrible.
I can't watch it. It's not great.
Carey, we have moved. So we have moved from first you blame the situation, and then you blame the child. Right? It's the situation's fault.
Yes.
And it's the child's fault. You know where we are now?
It's the parents' fault.
It's the parents' fault.
No question.
I cannot blame Matt Canada.
You can't?
For not being able to read or write. And I'm using the analogy here. Obviously, you can read and write. I'm not disrespecting the man. What I'm saying is,
as a parent, right? Yeah.
The child's. We cannot blame the environment / the classroom / the teacher. We've moved on from that. And now we went to the kid.
Yep.
It's the kid's fault. It's Matt Canada's fault.
Nope.
The child cannot read or write.
Nope.
It is Mike Tomlin's fault. And I love your former head coach.
I love him too.
I love Mike Tomlin. I think him and Andy Reid, I think the two best coaches in the league, not named Bill Belichick. Mike Tomlin is incredible. This is your fault.
I agree.
You brought this guy back thinking it was going to be different. It's worse. It is somehow worse, Carey.
It's tough, man. Like I'm not I want them to have all of the success in the world. I think defensively they got studs, they got stars. Offensively, I think they do as well. But for whatever reason, this offense just cannot get going in the right direction, and it is troubling for me. Mm-hmm. It is troubling. I know Kenny Pickett got hurt, but he started 15 for 23 for 114 yards. Oh, Mitchell Trubisky, come on in. 3 for 5 for 18 yards.
Yeah.
You throw for after the sacks, 111 total yards. In the NFL in 2023.
NFL, right.
You have 100-plus yards, 100 yards passing, and you only score 6 points. You don't even get in. You don't get in the end zone, man. This is not football that you want to watch. It's hard for me to watch.
Moving on to the most exciting game of the day. It was the biggest matchup. It was the Bills and the Dolphins, 48-20. I had the Bills. Winning. I thought Buffalo has looked like a different team since that Jets game. Yep. They can run the ball with James Cook, and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, to their credit, they put on a show. Josh Allen didn't try to do too much. He just did it. You know what I mean? He wasn't cautious. He just balled for 4 straight quarters against a Miami defense that I was wrong about. I thought Miami's defense was going to be better this year with Vic Fangio. They haven't been. I'm shocked that they gave up 48 points, but all the credit to Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, James Cook, and a Bills defense that athletically can match up with Miami. That's the key. When New England and Miami play, you know it's going to be bad because New England doesn't have any team speed, and Miami's all speed.
Right.
Buffalo, their team speed on defense can match up with Miami, and they proved that on Sunday. Give the Bills credit. They stomped down and said, this is still our division until you take it from us.
Yeah, they did. They did a great job. I thought the Buffalo Bills, it surprised me because they scored first, and, I'm like, okay, well, they got the ball first. Okay, but Miami go down and score.
Right.
And it just seemed to that lead just kept stretching and stretching and stretching, and to the point where Miami didn't feel like they could do anything to keep up or catch up. The issue that I had with Miami, they didn't run the ball. And I get it. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Tua, who was an MVP candidate. They didn't run the ball enough. Devin Achane had 101 yards.
Yeah.
55 of those came on one carry.
He might be the RB1 there too, because Mostert put the ball on the ground twice.
I don't want to hear that. I got Mostert in my fantasy league, but other than that, Devin Achane had a really good game last week, as did Mostert. But for me, they didn't run the ball enough, and it's not like, in my opinion, that this team this game got so far out of hand that you had to pass the ball. You could have ran the ball a little bit more and had more success. On the other side, the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen not turning the football over is the best Josh Allen, the version of Josh Allen anyone could ask for. Josh Allen not turning the football over is probably number 2, number 3 quarterback in the league. When he turns the football over, put him like 8, 9, 10 because he changes that much. The offense changes that much. The team changes that much when he feels like he has to do everything. He hasn't been their leading rusher as of late, which is an important stat for that team. James Cook has been running the ball. They gave the ball to Latavius Murray yesterday. They have been giving the ball to other people not named Josh Allen and allowing them to be the runner. So this version of Josh Allen, where he doesn't have to be your leading rusher, or he doesn't turn the football over, beware of the Buffalo Bills. Now, they did lose Tre'Davious White to an Achilles, which is not a great look because you're going to have to play Miami again.
Yeah.
And
that's a huge
blow for that team.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it hurts them or how it helps them, how it affects them. But Josh Allen is really good when he takes care of the football.
Carey Davis, Anthony Stoltz, you're listening to the Gridiron Guys podcast. We're doing an instant reaction for week 4. Carey, I was wrong about the Lions. They're better than I gave them credit for. Mm-hmm. I gave too much credit to my beloved Falcons. They don't have a quarterback, and it has haunted them. The Rams are a little better than I thought. The Buccaneers are way better than I thought. The Saints, I was wrong about the Saints. I was not wrong about the Cincinnati Bengals. I have been saying since this offseason that this Bengals team is not as good. They're not going to be – the Joe Burrow injury concerned me. Coming into the year, I have said the Bengals are not a playoff team, and I've gotten that pushback. I've been wrong about a lot. That's why I listed all the wrong things. Here's all the things I've been wrong about. There's one thing I can pat myself on the back. It's the Cincinnati Bengals not being as good as what they have been in years past. Joe Burrow can't move, and now T. Higgins is hurt, and this defense isn't as good. Tennessee punked them on Sunday, 27-3.
Surprisingly, because I didn't expect that. I picked the Bengals to win, despite not really showing anything offensively. I'm figuring Joe Burrow didn't come up lame in the last game. He seems to be dealing with the calf injury, to the best of his ability. But I don't know what's going on with this Bengals team, other than the obvious, right? The obvious Joe Burrow injury. What else is taking place? Because they're not moving the ball well enough offensively, but the team, it doesn't feel like how they have looked in the past few years as a team. It just looks lethargic and slow.
You can't out-talent.
Yeah.
You can't out-talent everybody like you have the last 2 years. Carey, this is about adjustments.
Yep.
Defensive coordinators are paid to figure you out.
Right.
Defensive coordinators have figured Cincinnati out. They have.
You're probably right. I mean, I don't have any other answer. The simple one is Joe Burrow is hurt. And if he's not hurt, Jamar Chase probably has 14 catches for 150 yards. I don't know. But instead, he has 7 for 73. That's the difference in the guy you paid $200+ million to and being that elite quarterback. Right now, Joe Burrow is a middle-of-the-pack guy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch because hindsight, obviously, always 20/20. If you'd have told the Cincinnati Bengals you'll be 1-3 going into Week 5, they probably would have told you, well, Joe Burrow can miss those first 4 games.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out after that. But he's played. They haven't played well, and it's troubling. And on the flip side, who the hell are the Tennessee Titans?
Nobody knows.
Who are they?
They don't know.
If you could give me that answer, I would be grateful.
I can't.
I don't know who they are.
They beat the Chargers, then they stink against Cleveland, then they come back and punk Cincinnati.
Who are they?
They almost beat New Orleans, which is a team they probably should have beaten, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. I think I've said this on previous podcasts, and I've felt this way for about 20 years now. I don't know who the Titans are. I never do. They're the one team in the NFL. I have no idea.
The identity.
I have no idea what they are or what they aren't.
I don't know. Derrick Henry got his first 100-yard rushing game of the year.
And he threw a touchdown.
I don't know who they are. I have no clue week to week what Titans team is going to show up. So that was probably one of my biggest surprises.
God bless you, Titans. Yeah. I don't know. Moving to the late games, Chargers 24-17. Once again, the Chargers win a game.
I just want it to happen.
Once again, the Chargers win a game, and we're going to talk about Brandon Staley. What are you doing?
He's amazing.
Justin Herbert's got one arm, or one hand. You know what? Let's go with the old QB sneak.
He's amazing.
That game should have been what Dallas was against New England. You were 24-7. You were cruising, and Aiden O'Connell was being, he was either hanging on the ball too long, or his offensive line was getting his ass kicked. He was putting the ball on the ground. You're facing a rookie quarterback. Why is that game 24-17? Why can't you score any points in the second half?
Why not?
Brandon Staley.
That's why. That expect it to happen.
Wow.
I don't know, man. Like, I think the most frustrating part is he still finds a way to win despite all of the madness. That's the part that concerns me. Like, it almost, like when you were a kid and you didn't get in trouble for doing something, so you was like, I didn't get caught. I can do this all the time. But but it wasn't right. Like, know if you get caught, the amount of pain you're going to have to endure for doing said thing. But you keep doing it because nobody catches me. I know I'm not supposed to do it, but it's working out for me. I'm getting the reward from it.
Yeah.
This is what he hasn't gotten his butt whooped yet. And when you finally make that mistake and it costs you, maybe it doesn't cost you, or maybe it costs you a division championship. Maybe it costs you an AFC championship. Maybe it costs you a Super Bowl. I don't know. But it's going to cost you at some point. And because you have not gotten spanked or whooped just yet from mommy and daddy, because they ain't caught you. They don't know you're doing it. But you're going to get your butt whooped at some point for making these terrible decisions, and it's going to come at the most inopportune time.
Right.
And the entire country is going to be looking at you like, what the hell are you doing? I've been doing this.
Yeah.
I've been doing it. Why you just not saying something?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well. I do on the flip side, because there are a couple of coaches that Josh McDaniels, has a career winning percentage of .367.
Yeah.
A career. Like he's Dennis Allen, I just looked at, he was 300 something the other day. He's at 298 now.
They'll both be done after this.
How?
They'll be done.
How?
This is Josh McDaniels' last stand.
He'll
go back to New England. He'll be the OC, and he'll just stay there. This is it.
It has to be. Because you can't find a way to win. I know you had a rookie quarterback. He threw a terrible interception. You were going in to potentially tie the game up. He threw a terrible. Rookies do that.
Right. And I don't mind the call. Like everybody's bitching about the call.
Yeah,
how many times do we see, sprint right option?
It's not a problem.
It's fine.
It's just not a good ball. Not a good decision. But those three teams that we just named, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Chargers need to be put in there. Brandon Staley's winning percentage is over 500, but that's by the grace of God.
Right. Well, it's like you're saying. It's the kid that is messing around the playground, and every kid is like, is anybody going to say anything? This kid's going to keep getting. And then finally does it. He messes around with the wrong kid, and he finds himself upside down.
Go.
It's going to happen.
It is. That's just watching them is not good football.
No,
it's scary.
49ers 35-16. I don't have a lot of thoughts on this. Christian McCaffrey took over. Great, he should take over. Arizona. I thought Josh Dobbs played well, all things considered. Josh Dobbs played better against San Francisco than Daniel Jones did, than Kenny Pickett did, than what other Stafford played fine against him. Mm-hmm. I thought Josh Dobbs played better than the man the Giants gave a bunch of money to and the Steelers took in the first round against this San Francisco defense. That was kind of my only takeaway outside of the fact that Christian McCaffrey is really good at football. But we knew that before.
He's really good at football, and the 49ers are really good at football as well. Like Deebo Samuel, I think, had one catch.
He was banged up.
Or one rush. He didn't even have a catch. He didn't play much. He was banged up. It's okay. Brandon Ayuk's there.
Yep.
Like they have –
who missed the previous week.
And Debo had a great game. Yep. It doesn't matter to them. Christian McCaffrey is going to do his thing. It's head scratching, and in a great way. Like I enjoy watching the San Francisco 49ers play football because I don't know who's going to get the ball. I don't know whose day is going to be. I know Christian McCaffrey is going to get 15 to 20 carries. He's probably going to score a touchdown. He's probably going to have somewhere between 85 and 125 yards rushing, and then add another 30 to 50 yards receiving. Like that's who they are.
Yeah.
And as much as we give credit to quarterbacks, let's give some credit to Brock Purdy, because he's on an offense with a ton of weapons. This young man is playing football at a high level. He's not turning the ball over. He's getting the ball to his athletes in space and getting to them quickly. You can't ask for much more than what he's giving them right now. And it's really fun to watch.
Dallas 38, Patriots 3. Not much on Dallas' side outside of, good rebound game. Mac Jones, I mean, look, it's not all Mac Jones, okay? It's never all one player. But this offense looks worse than it did a year ago. At least they could run the ball last year with Stevenson. They can't do anything. Mac Jones was terrible on Sunday. He hasn't been good enough the previous weeks when they actually have been in the game. And I'm shocked that Belichick has not moved on to Bailey Zappi yet. I'm actually surprised a lot of these QBs are still getting playing time, but he might be at the top of the list outside of Desmond Ridder.
So let me ask you a question, because we talk a lot. We talked about Mac in the office back there. Who do you want him to throw the football to, sir?
I want him to not turn the ball over.
I get it. But who do you want? I'm going to give you Devontae Parker.
Fine.
Kendrick Bourne.
Fine.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Fine. Hunter Henry.
Keyshawn Boutte.
Mike Gesicki. These aren't great options, but these are terrible options.
They're not terrible.
They're fine.
Just fine.
Let me ask you this, outside of Travis Kelce, who is Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball to?
Oh, that's Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, but see what I'm saying? I know Mac Jones is in Mahomes.
I mean,
but
I understand.
Juju was in Kansas City, won a Super Bowl last year.
He did. Yeah, he did. Mac Jones has to be better.
Who's C.J. Stroud throwing to?
He got some guys.
Is Nico? I know Tank Dell looks really good. Yeah. Tank Dell looks like a guy.
Yeah.
Is Nico
Schultz?
Okay. Is Dalton Schultz that much better than Hunter Henry or Mike Gesicki?
No. I don't think so.
Is Nico Collins a Justin Jefferson over
Devontae Parker or Kendrick Bourne?
And Kendrick Bourne? They're fine.
I guess, you got to figure out a way. I don't know what the Patriots are doing. I have no clue. And I think when they drafted Mac Jones, I think a few people were kind of head scratching, like, he's a Bama quarterback, but is he going to have?
He should be better than this.
He should be much better than this. And I agree. I mean, Bailey Zappi played really well last year when Mac Jones got hurt. So if you got somebody nipping at your heels, you need to take care of the football. You need to be a little bit better than what Mac Jones is right now. I don't know if they're ready to go all in and sit him down. They sat him down in the game last week. I don't know if they're ready to go all in and say, okay, you're not our starter anymore. I think it's still too early for them to make that decision. And I don't think Bill Belichick wants to admit fault in that manner.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you got to sit a guy down, and because he's not the best for the team, but that would be admitting that you made a mistake in drafting the guy where you did.
Very true. All right, 2 more games, the primetime games. Chiefs 23-20 over the Jets. Mahomes was incredibly sloppy.
Yeah. Until
the game mattered.
Yep.
A lot of these games, I thought Sam Howell played pretty well. Game was on the line, couldn't get it done.
Right.
Not Sam Howell's fault, but there's a couple of quarterbacks that played well until the game was on the line. Same game. Zach Wilson played fairly well.
Yeah.
Game was on the line. I know he took fault for the fumble, took his eyes off the snap there,
right.
Low snap, bad snap, whatever, and he dropped it. When the game is on the line, when Mahomes did not have a great game, again, very sloppy, uncharacteristic throws by Mahomes, what did Mahomes do? He ran when he had to.
Yep.
He made throws when he had to. And I actually looked at my wife, Kristen, and I said, I'll tell you what's going to happen here. It was that third down play.
Mm-hmm.
I go, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. He's either going to throw a touchdown pass or he's going to make a play to win this game.
Right.
And man-to-man coverage, those DBs, he knows nobody's looking at him.
Yep.
He slips out left, winds up doing what? Sliding down, and then arms out. He knew.
Game over.
That's Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of
agree.
people are like, the Chiefs, I don't look good. But I don't care. The Chiefs do this.
Yeah. I would look at that team and maybe think, and because this does happen, you look at the team that they were playing against, it's the Jets. Like, yeah, we're up for it. It's Sunday night, but are we
You
up
should
for
have
it?
blown them out, but it is the NFL.
But and it's the Jets. Like, they weren't playing well. They hadn't been playing well. So that may be one of those things where, just like week 1 was a wake-up call for them against the Detroit Lions, is there any concern on your behalf about the lack of explosive plays offensively for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yes and no. Yes, I think if it's a normal team with a normal quarterback, absolutely. We just got done talking about the Patriots skill receivers. Kadarius Toney hadn't done anything.
Right.
Travis Kelce's a stud.
Yep.
We know that Travis Kelce's their number one. But Toney, Sky Moore, Sky Moore's kind of a bit player. Kadarius Toney's kind of a bit player. Marquez Valdez-Scantling's fine, but not great. Yeah, I do. I'm concerned about the explosiveness. However, Isaiah Pacheco is vastly underrated.
I agree.
I love watching him run. If Andy Reid stuck with the run, I thought more against the Jets, I don't think the game's as close as it was. But no, because it's Mahomes, I don't worry. We're going to do this all year with Kansas City because they don't hang 40 on the board every week.
And that's the reason why I asked, because taking that Bears game out, because no one wants to count that one. They're averaging 20 points a game in the 3 of those 4 games.
They'll be fine,
excluding the Bears game. So you no concern for you?
No, they're going to win. They're going to win games.
All right.
I think we should be, and I understand the question. Are you concerned?
A little bit, and I think I'm concerned because I just haven't seen those big plays, those explosive plays. It didn't matter who was in there. You had Juju Smith-Schuster had a pretty good season last year. You had McCole Hardman. You had guys that, and I think this is part of rookie and younger receivers. It's a maturation process. Rashee Rice is a young guy. Sky Moore is a young guy, though he was on the team and won the Super Bowl last year, caught a touchdown. He's still a young guy, so there's still some growth there in comparison to having veteran receivers. You probably won't see the best version of this Kansas City Chiefs team until maybe when they when they play Philly. That's week 9. That's a ways away. Week 9, week 10. That'll
be a game they turn it up.
That would have to be, because hopefully by then those younger guys are acclimated to what's going on. But I don't see a lot of explosive plays coming from this offense, and so that does concern me. And then you could fall to a team that, you got the Dolphins there, you got the Chargers who aren't great, but you have an opportunity. There's a division rival. You got a couple of games there that you could potentially lose before you start clicking on all cylinders.
Last game, Carey, Seattle 24-3 over the Giants on Monday Night Football. You and I called this with the Giants. They're not as good as they were a year ago. We didn't like their over total. We thought that the wheels would fall apart. A lot of people thought the wheels would fall apart with the Giants. They have. Daniel Jones isn't good. The offensive line is terrible. Brian Dable now is really got a year ago, everybody loved Dable, and he did a great job. Okay, well, it's a new year. My biggest takeaway here is that Seattle won a game in which I think a lot of people are going to prop Seattle up. Mm-hmm. I love the skill position players. Geno's a good quarterback, and Kenneth Walker has a nose for the end zone. I don't think Seattle is as good defensively as they showed last night. We're recording this on Tuesday. I thought that was more about the Giants, but credit Seattle going in there. The Giants had extra time. They played on Thursday night last week. You had extra time. You put that together, you stink. You're terrible.
I think
football team.
Not having Saquon definitely hurts. You know what I mean? That there was we went back and forth all offseason who should be paid, Saquon or Daniel. They went with the quarterback.
Right.
We get it. But Saquon is the leader of that team. When healthy, he's the guy, because who else are you going to throw the ball to? You don't have you brought Darren Waller over in a trade, and I haven't seen much from him. You don't have guys that are your leading receiver last night was Matt Breida. He's their running back. You have
like 9 slot receivers. You have Paris Campbell and Wan'Dale Robinson and
Isaiah Hodgins.
And you drafted Jalen Hyatt, and you're not using him.
They feel like they're all the same person, though. Yeah, nobody
separates.
Stands out in that group of players, and then you got Daniel Jones, who, I mean, we can sit here and complain and talk about he threw a pick six to Devin Witherspoon, ILLINI. He threw the pick six to Illini's Devin Witherspoon, and so you can talk about
sacks,
that.
Too.
He had a big night. Yeah. You could talk about that. But let's talk about the number of sacks that they gave up. That is not solely on Daniel Jones. Some of them could be, but 11 times?
Yeah.
11 times you're picking yourself up off of the turf when you're trying to pass the football. I don't know who you're going to be mad at. Like I can't be completely mad at Daniel Jones.
You're right.
Because they're not protecting him enough, and they're putting him in a position where now you do have to throw a ball early or not on time because, hell, I don't know when the next person's going to come hit me in the back of my head.
Right.
So all of those things tied together, they're not really good at all. They're terrible. Minus a second half versus the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
This team should be 0-4. But it's they got some work to do.
Carey, like every NFL fan, I sit there on Sundays and without having the all 22 up, of course, I do the typical NFL fan thing where it's like, throw it, throw the ball. Last night watching that game, there was a couple of times where I didn't even get that out.
Yeah.
He didn't have any. Daniel Jones didn't have any time.
It's not his fault.
It's not all his fault.
No.
You know, there's the goal line. You cannot throw that interception at the goal line. You're in the game. Yeah. You score touchdowns 14-10.
Probably shouldn't have been going there with the ball because the receiver was two guys pretty much in arm's distance of him.
And he dotted him too. He dotted Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah.
He dropped back like 3-step drop as he thought Witherspoon was his receiver. That's how good that was a throw. All right, it's a Gridiron, guys. We appreciate everybody listening to our Week 4 takeaways. We'll be back for Week 5 next week. One of these weeks we'll get in here and do some predictions.
I like that.
But Carey and I's schedule kind of sets up for one podcast a week, so we'll kind of keep it with that. But Carey, great stuff as always, man. I felt like today was a little saltier, which is nice.
We had some grit to us.
Your Pittsburgh frustration coming out, my Atlanta, yeah. So it was kind of a saltier podcast, but hopefully everybody appreciates that. For Carey Davis, the Super Bowl champion, I'm Anthony Stalter. We'll see you next time on Gridiron, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Gridiron Guys podcast with Super Bowl champion Carey Davis and Anthony Stalter.
Driven by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Check out the Gridiron Guys podcast page at 101ESPN.com.